Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app or become a patron, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. So the Fantasia International Film Festival has wrapped up. It has finished. Last week you heard the first part of my recap where I talked about some of the films that I watched. You will hear the second part of that later this week. But in between, I have another interview for you. I got to see the new movie Occupy Cannes about Troma going to the Cannes Film Festival. And I got the chance to talk to the writer and director of the film, Lily-Hayes Kaufman, actress Catherine Corcoran, and Lloyd Kaufman. Can't wait for you to hear that. I got a few minutes to be able to talk with them, and they talked about Fantasia, the documentary, and everything else. I was super excited to be able to chat with them. But before we dive into that, it kind of coincides with this episode. If you're in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. I'm so thankful to be partnered with the Esquire Theater to host a horror screening each month. And our screening in August, on August 15th, 10 p.m., we are going to have the original, The Toxic Avenger. I am so pumped for this screening. I've been wanting to screen this one for a while, and we get to show it August 15th. Come out, watch the original, The Toxic Avenger, and then a few weeks later, the new remake directed by Megan Blair comes out on the 29th. So happy that I get to coincide kind of with that new film coming out soon. It is at the top of one of my most anticipated movies to see, this new one. But come out August 15th, 10 p.m. Let's watch a movie together. All right, time to talk about Occupy Cannes. It follows Lloyd Kaufman and the Troma Team on what could be their last trip to the Cannes Film Festival. The film dives into the underbelly of the glamorous event and offers a window into a vibrant subculture. So this is written and directed by Lily-Hayes Kaufman. It stars Lloyd Kaufman, Charlotte Kaufman, Catherine Corcoran, James Rolfe, Doug Sackman, and so many others. There are a lot of the Troma Team in this film. I'm not really going to dive too far into the film before the interview. I'll talk to you a little bit more about it after the interview. But I enjoyed this. It was a nice kind of just a glimpse into part of the Cannes Film Festival. I know it doesn't really dive into the Cannes Film Festival itself. This is Troma Team going to Cannes, which they had gone since 1971, and kind of how the culture is, how difficult it is for independent film. So let's dive into the interview with Lily-Hayes Kaufman, Catherine Corcoran, and Lloyd Kaufman. And I will talk to you on the other side. What happens when the Troma Team heads to the Cannes Film Festival? The new documentary Occupy Cannes, which just played at the Fantasia International Film Festival, will dive into just that. They've been disrupting media for 50 years, and now they're here to disrupt this podcast. I want to welcome in writer-director Lily-Hayes Kaufman, actress Catherine Corcoran, and the one and only Lloyd Kaufman. How are y'all doing today?
We're great. We're awesome. Excited to be here.
So tell everybody who may not know about Occupy Cannes.
Occupy Cannes is a really exciting time at Cannes where it's really passionate filmmakers who are going to get their voices heard and, disrupt the festival and fight for independent cinema.
It screened last night at Fantasia. How did that screening go? How did the crowd react to the documentary?
Lily-Hayes and Catherine got a standing ovation.
As did Lloyd.
Well,
I was presented the Indie Maverick Award.
Oh, yeah.
The inaugural award.
Thank you.
And
yeah.
James Gunn gave a speech a recorded speech
Okay.
about it.
Who?
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
From your Lloyds.
Oh,
James Gunn, as you say.
I was outside waiting to come in. I don't even know.
Oh, didn't see that?
No, I never saw it.
You did
I
that.
didn't know James was
It's a
doing
great video, but I think one of the, it's just being here at Fantasia is just, this is the perfect audience. It was the perfect home for us to world premiere. It's just such a wonderful festival. And just, this was, there was such an incredible energy in the audience. And, Troma's been coming here since 1997. We had a Toxie with us presenting. It was just a really great night. And we were so grateful to be here.
Occupy Cannes, I mean, obviously it's the Cannes Film Festival, and you're fighting for independent cinema at that festival and kind of how everything went. You're at Fantasia right now. Like, what is the vibe for independent film, say at Fantasia, compared to, obviously I watched the Occupy Cannes, and it's a little different vibe for you guys there.
Well, I mean, I think Lloyd can probably speak to it the best, but the genre film festivals are always more inclusive to independent cinema because so much of genre is independent, right? It's always, Garris, I think, says it's always been the kind of forgotten stepchild of the entertainment industry, in that it's not really considered high art other than the money that it makes. And I think Lloyd knows that better than anyone, even though he doesn't exclusively make horror genre films. He makes comedies. Has an extensive library. I think he knows that better than anybody else. So he's always kind of, in my opinion, but he'll speak to this better, existed kind of in the counterculture that these genre festivals exist at, as opposed to Cannes, which you'll see in the documentary, which is a much different animal. It's less of a celebration. It's less fan driven. It's more exclusive. It's harder to to get into. That's probably why Troma has not returned since we made that documentary.
Troma will never return to Cannes, but we were there since 1971, and it was a festival, and it was they did have a variety of films and many types of distributors, but that's gone. It's over. But the Fantasia and Sitges and Beyond and Fantastic Fest, they're really run by people who love cinema. Cannes is not run by people who love cinema. There may be people in their selection committee, but to put in some famous actor as head of the jury, that's bullshit. Mitch Davis knows more about movies than anybody in the world. And the curator of Fantasia, James Gunn, and I were here in 1997 with Romeo and Juliet. And it totally knocked us in the head, the fact that the fans were so into Takashi Miike, which nobody in the United States really knew until Mitch started showing his films. And, I wish I had a month to stay here in Fantasia to enjoy Montreal and see every movie that Mitch Davis and his wonderful team have selected. Occupy Cannes is perfect because so many of the people here in Fantasia, not only do they actually love film, they don't care who acts in it. They want a good film that has something to say from the brain, the heart, and the soul of the filmmaker. And they're here for that reason and that reason alone. And it's just a wonderful atmosphere and independent thinking, independent art, independent commerce are very, very much alive in the genre festivals like Fantasia. And congratulations to Mitch Davis for having such a. We were here with the Return to Nukem High a long time ago, right?
Over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago, and you were impressed. You hadn't been.
I think that was the first, other than Cannes, that was only the second film festival I'd ever been into in my entire life. And it was so much fun. It was really like a celebration. It was actually after we were filming Occupy Cannes at the Cannes Film Festival, where we premiered Return to Nukem High, and then came right to Fantasia afterwards. And it really was, it's still we were reminiscing last night about what that experience was like, because it was so celebratory, and it felt the same this time.
Occupy Cannes, you watch the movie, you can see many challenges you guys faced on screen. Are there any challenges while making this that kind of off screen that you really struggled with? Lily, of you, like how do you kind of be a little not swayed one way or the other? You're trying to be very subjective in your voice. Like, what challenges that we don't see on screen did you really face, creating this documentary?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Actually, I should mention, so I made this film with my sisters, Lisbeth Kaufman and Charlotte Kaufman. And so the voice that you hear is my sister, Charlotte Kaufman, who's our cinematographer. And actually, so I should, her film just premiered at Sundance, Alabama Solution, to standing ovation. It was really wonderful. I wish she could be here. She had to fly home this morning at 6 a.m. No, I mean, this is something that we are constantly sort of this push and pull that we feel of how do we portray this sort of enfant terrible filmmaker that is our dad, who we love so much, but who also is constantly sort of pushing this line and crossing the line. And, we want to portray a true story, and we feel like we portrayed a true story. But we also, every child sort of sees their parents as a superhero. And so for us, we feel like we've grown up in Tromaville, and the line is so blurred of where Tromaville and fiction and the superhero universe begins and ends, because we have so grown up in it. And it is so complicated to figure out what is real life and what's not. So we really want this documentary to be an accurate portrayal of all the people and the story and what happened. And so that moment, I think, was, a special moment of just sort of us saying that we want this to be, an accurate admission of we're trying, and we want this to be real and true.
And your film is very objective.
I agree.
Right. It shows, it doesn't show trauma necessarily. It's not an ode to trauma, it's a really very objective, yet pretty crazy. It's funny, it's entertaining, and rather bittersweet, I think, Catherine.
Yeah, I mean,
sad old man acting like an idiot.
No, but I think there was no one better to edit this and to direct this.
10 years, almost 10 years, Lily-Hayes. 5 different cameras, and then sit downs, and the film ended up, much bigger and more interesting than it could possibly have been if Lily-Hayes hadn't been able to put everything together and then go back and do sit downs and talking heads. And
I agree. It technically it must have been such a challenge, because we were filming on iPhones, multiple cameras, all sorts of things over the years. But then I think also she had the challenge of having to be objective and figure out what the overarching story was. I mean, this was over a period of 5 to 7 years. I think that the footage is alone, let alone cutting it together. And I think she did a fantastic job. I don't think anyone could have done it better than she did.
And some Troma alumni from years ago, from many years ago, who I thought, you never wonder if people, what their Troma experience. But we had 2 really good editors from 30 years ago who came back to help Lily-Hayes with Occupy Can. We had to force them to get paid. They didn't want to be paid, but we insisted on it. So, we gave them a hot dog, and it was really nice. It was a real Troma team from different generations, and they all supported Lily-Hayes. And Catherine was amazing last night at the Q&A, talking about idealism, and we had the cast, other people, Clay Van Kolowitz and Asta Paredes, and then Danielle. Do you know Danielle from Fantasia? He's been playing Toxie since 1997, and the fans love him anyway. He's a kind of mascot of Fantasia, and he's moved up the food chain there. He's now running the actual presentations, and it's terrific.
Now, as we're running out of time here, as we're wrapping things up, and people are starting to see Occupy Can, what do you hope that they get out of seeing the film?
I think that it's just a really important message of, if there's something that you're truly passionate about pursuing, and sort of just putting your blinders on and pursuing your goal, and seeing these passionate independent filmmakers who were so passionate about fighting for independent cinema and going out there and fighting for it, especially in this, the media conglomeration is continuing to get worse and worse. And so I think that's really important for everyone to go out and continue to make independent art.
Also, the film is rather inspiring, because Catherine Corcoran is now doing bigger movies, like a big film with the Saturday Night Live crew. Zach Amico, who's featured in the film, has got a huge following. He does comedy, and is on he does these
podcasts.
Yeah, well, he does he's got a huge following, but also Bob Ross, the roast, he writes roast. He's
Okay.
all over the place. The Juggalos, he's with the Juggalos. Everybody who's in this documentary, at the end of the film, you see that their experience with Troma led to moving up, and so it's a happy ending. But it's bittersweet because we are being challenged by the undercover these big guys. They're a little bit like ICE, who were working for Can, who kept stopping us, and they put us up against the wall. And luckily, Lily-Hayes and I were safely back. We stayed out of any danger from the cops, naturally.
I was arrested 5 times now. I wasn't.
No, they stopped us constantly. Well, the movie, you can see the movie.
Yeah.
And Pat Kaufman, the commissioner, was my wife. She's the film commissioner of New York. And she's like the adult in the room. And she's trying to tell us, to be sensible. And it's a really good, really good job, Lily-Hayes, no joke. It's a really good.
Thank you.
It's hard to do a documentary that's both entertaining, touching, as well as educational. And I think you and Catherine knocked it out of the box.
It's mostly Lily-Hayes. I was just.
Um,
It was the Troma Team.
Well, it was. You see the devotion of these young people and idealism. The movie could have been called Idealism, I think. Right?
Yeah.
It's really idealism presented. And Roger Corman was executive producer with Julie Corman. It was his last on-screen credit, and he's been so helpful to Troma over the years, as has Stan Lee, with whom I've been friends. Both of them have been friends of mine for over 50 years, and have been very nice to recognize Troma and help us get Marvel Comics. And Roger helped Troma with meeting people and buyers and things like that. They're very generous, and obviously a great filmmaker. And Stan Lee, we couldn't be at Fantasia without mentioning them.
I want to thank the three of you for taking time out of your morning to chat with me. I know we don't get a whole lot of time to do these things, but I really appreciate it. I want everybody to go see Occupy Can. I really enjoyed it. Out here in Cincinnati, we have Horror Hound. I always love Troma. Troma's the party place to go to when we're out here, but I wish you the best of luck with this movie, and everybody go check it out when you get a chance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brad,
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
I want to thank the three of them again for sitting down, taking time out of their morning to chat with me. I would have loved to have a little bit more time to kind of dive into the film with them, but these things can be quick, and you got to kind of get what you can out of it. It was great talking to them about Fantasia and how they kind of support the independent film. They support the genre films. They're welcoming to all of them and everything else. When you get a chance to see Occupy Can, you can see that the Troma team had a much, much different experience while they were at Cannes. That's why, Lloyd said in the interview that they will never go back. From what the documentary shows, it's become I think who you know, how much money you're putting into it and whatnot. I've always been a fan of Troma. I've always enjoyed their films. They're ridiculous. They're fun. Like I said, here in Cincinnati, we have Horror Hound. The Troma booth is always the fun one to go by. They're having a grand old time. There's always someone dressed as Toxie. There's someone dressed as Sergeant Kabuki Man. The last couple I've gone to, Gringo Fantastico has been there, and I've got to kind of chat with him. Lloyd has gone to a few, and they just have a good time. They're just entertaining people and being like, you know what? Basically, life's too short. Let's have fun. Watch some fun indie movies. I mean, over here on Old Man Brad, I love independent horror. I love independent film. I just love all of that. I know Troma's movies, especially their horror movies, they pull a certain fan. I know, like, my wife, she will not watch any Troma movies. She does not enjoy them. She has watched part of The Toxic Avenger with me. She hated it. I know it's not her style of movie, so I won't show her others or try to get her to watch others because I know it's not her cup of tea. But I'm going to suggest to everybody, if you get a chance to see Occupy Can, when it, finally comes out to the world and everybody can see it, sit down and watch it because it is interesting to see their kind of marketing that they do. So, you know, they dress up as Sergeant Kabuki Man. They'll dress up as Toxic Avenger and head out to the streets to try to get people to come to a screening or people to know about Troma. And some of the people there just, they're just not into it. They're trying to stop them in every direction. They're trying everything that they try. Like, okay, you can't do that. It's against the rules. Since when? And, you know, I don't want to give too much away from it, but Lily-Hayes Kaufman and team, they did a good job of not really being like, oh, you know, look what they're doing to poor Troma. Granted, that stuff is in it, but trying to show all sides, talk about independent film, the people involved behind these movies, and kind of how hard it is, you know, get the word out there. Even though people in my circles, I'm big into the horror world. I have a lot of podcasting friends, a lot of horror friends and whatnot. They know who Troma is and they know Troma movies. But outside of that circle, many people wouldn't. It's an interesting documentary and 100% worth the watch. Even if you're not a Troma fan, if you are a Troma fan, definite watch. If you're not, definite watch. If you love independent film, definite watch. Just watch for Occupy Can coming out hopefully soon. Check it out when it does. Well, that will do it for this chapter of Old Man Brad. Another little piece of the Fantasia International Film Festival. It's been so much fun covering this festival. Watch for my second recap coming later on this week, where I will go through the second half of the films that I've watched as part of the festival. There are some good ones in there, but just subscribe and you won't miss any of it. And I'll be back soon. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.